the queen. What I do at the beginning of the year, in April, finding queens. Very, very little smoke. If anything, no smoke, right? And what I do is I bring a water mister with a small little bit of sugar in it, and I mist the bees. Because if you use the smoke, the queen may have a tendency to run, right?
What?
Run,
Oh, okay.
right? So she'll be anywhere. And when you take off the crown board, and you see where the brood nest is, just move the frames back, you'll nearly always find her in the middle of it, you know. But if no smoke, very little, and you'll be able to take your frames up, no problem, you'll find her, you know. But if you smoke her, it can be a problem, you know. But that's the way I do it, you know. Any more questions?
I was given a bag of icing.
A bag of
cakes, a bag of icing, this bag of icing. Can I use that for feeding?
icing sugar.
Yeah, icing of cakes.
I don't know.
It means like the fondant.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said to me there's an anti-caking agent and that stuff, and I'd be careful. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't a clue. I'm only giving you what was said to me. Might be.
Put it in the rubbish bin then.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that either. Try it yourself in the church you live. It's all right.
David, no extraordinary.
Any more?
Yeah, you said you put two brood chambers together, and when they build up, you separate.
Yeah.
Invariably, where is the queen? In the top or in the...
No, you have to look for her. And I'll tell you something about it, be very careful, right? And this happened to me. I did it a few years ago, had the two brood chambers up top of each other, saw the queen on the frame, put the frame back in, split the box and over. What happened? Did I learn? I did. Went back a week later. The box that the queen wasn't in was empty. Every bee had left it and went back to the queen.
Well, if there's two bees in the queen, I wouldn't be able to find the queen, right?
I
But
will.
what had happened if it split and went back 2 days later? Wouldn't have find a day or
Well,
a
to be
day?
3 days later. But no, you
Three.
need to find your queens. You must start getting used to it. Put on these. Specsavers. No, honestly, you will find the queen. It's, do you know what it is a matter of? Going through your bees and taking your time. And if you go through them and they're in, say, mid-April, I'm not sure what your season is here, and you go through those in mid-April, there is no drones there. There's only one, there's more than likely only one queen there. You should be able to see her. And what I do with the frames, I take it up and I go left, right, left, and all the ways down, turn it around, and I scan across the frame. You know, look, I've over 100 colonies and I have to find in every one of them. And if you don't find her here, go to the next one and come back to that one the following week. But don't leave the bees out for too long. Use your mister. If you're using a lot of smoke, you'll never ever find her. You know, and you'll find that'll calm the bees as well, using the mister, because the bees think it's rain, they just settle down. And the other thing is, try and breed from with docility in mind. And you know, if you treat the bees right, the bees will treat you right. But there's some devils out there anyway that no matter what you do for them, they're going to go for you. But I wear the surgical gloves or the light natile gloves. And if you start wearing those, you'll know your good bees from your bad bees, and you won't be long about getting rid of your bad bees and going for the more gentle ones. And again, don't forget about the comb building. Very important. Any more?
No more questions? Come on, one more question. We can't let them away with that few questions. No, well, thanks very much, Pat.
Thank you.
That was very informative. Are you sure there's no questions?
Surgical, what's the other gloves you said you use?
They're natal, they're the same as surgical gloves, except some people can be allergic to whatever is in surgical gloves. I'm not sure.
Latex, is it?
What?
The latex? The latex or the powder that's on them?
No, there's something, latex, sorry. Some people are allergic to latex. But latex, you see, with there's a better feel in them. And once they break, they just fall apart, you know. Whereas the latex doesn't really, you know. But look, I wear them all the time, you know. And I just find that if you're going out wearing these calf skin or whatever they call them, the bee sting those, they should be banned, you know. Do you know the big heavy gloves with the gauntlets, you know? You're going out with your boxing gloves on, you know? It's no good. Do you know, if you understand, you know, like the bees have to defend, they're smelling the pheromone, or the sting's pheromone is in those. Drives the bees mad, you know? And I think if we were more gentle with our bees, we'd enjoy it more. But like some people think that it's great, I have a suit of armour on me, you know. Like I met Seamus down my place there, and Seamus, you would know, I haven't got the courage, I was going to say something else, to go without gloves. But I know I could on a lot of the colonies, but I can't do it, you know. So,
You know these kind of yellow gloves, what's this called?
they're marigolds. Grand.
Yeah.
No problem.
That's what I
The
use.
only problem with the marigolds is in April you can't catch your queen
Why?
because you don't have the feel, you know. And feel is very important when you're taking her up, you know. And the other thing I'll just tell you, what I do is I have some, probably should have brought, when I find the queen in a marker, right, and I clip her, I put her back down in the frame, but I put a little queen excluder over her. And I also give her a tiny, tiny little puff of smoke, right? And the idea of that is so that the bees won't ball her, and there's a different smell off her as well as the smell of a bit of smoke. But I leave the frame on top. There was a frame there earlier on of brood lying on the top. So what I'll do is I'll leave that, and leave her down there, and I'll go on and do something else, and when I know they're all settled, I'll just take her up and she'll walk away. But the bees will go and try and smell her and the whole lot, but you've masked all the smells. Now, the other thing as well, with your natal gloves, remember earlier I showed you all the brace comb? At that time of the year, you have a tendency of getting bits of comb or bits of honey on your hands. Now, what you could do, and I've done this, and I'd probably be doing it at that time of the year again, is I would have the heavier natal glove, or do you know the green gloves are your marigolds, but I'd have the other one underneath. So the outer one is for all the rough work, because you have a lot of propolis and a lot of stuff, and when I find the queen, I just pull off the two, the outer glove is nearly always in that hand, and I can pick her up then, because that glove isn't tainted with honey or you know, you'll get bits of honey and it gets tacky, so you can do that as well, you know.
You change when you're using surgical gloves. The next day you go out use a new pair.
Well, they won't last. You're right. You know, actually even between April you'll find that they don't last either. But I think that's in its own right is good. You know, because hygiene, yeah. And probably what I should do is, and I don't, I should have a high tooth for every April as well, you know, or I should be cleaning them more, you know, but I don't. I lose them more than I should leave them there, you know. Anything else to ask me?
Do you ever use Neopol, Pat?
No, and when I tell you about Neopol,
Yeah, tell us what's your
there's
experience.
only less than 3% pollen in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
Neopol. Neopol is a product that's supposed to be with it's a fondant with pollen in it. But I just said there, I think there's less than 3% pollen in it. So you would be better off if you could
Mix your own pollen.
mix your own.
And how would you do that, Pat? Just mix.
I haven't done that yet.
You'd have to put
No,
a pollen trap
you-
on your
this-
hive in the summer.
Collect your pollen in
Yeah.
the summer, freeze it,
Okay.
and you see, look, you need a way of mixing it and making up your fondant to put it into it properly. But there is a time of the year when there's plenty of pollen there, and that would be April, May, June, July, and maybe, they would be the months. Whereas the other months, and probably October with the, September, October with the ivy.
With the ivy.
But they need that themselves,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I suppose really if we can build up the immunity, if the bees build up the immunity, that's what and I think, look, they're giving out about hedgerows being cut and the whole lot, and there's, I don't know, I'm only a recent person to beekeeping, but if you look at it, do you see big fields of clover anymore?
No.
You don't. So the most important thing out there going forward for the bees are trees.
Yes.
You know, and I hear you mention about trees. I think trees is the way forward, because it's all about productivity. How can we get more out of the land? So we need to figure out how we can get more out of the bees. You know.
Yeah.
The problem with that, Pat, is that most trees yield early in the year,
Right.
you know. So later on in the year, there's nothing to be got from trees. And
I don't
of course,
know.
hedge cutters don't like trees because
Yeah.
of the way,
That's right.
you know. And years ago, when people were putting hedges
But we need.
by hand, they were leaving a tree every so often.
Well, I
Don't do
suppose
that.
what we need to do is become proactive in trying to get more, forget about the honeybee, but many more pollinating insects are there other than the honeybee.
100%.
Exactly. So all the pollinators, whether they're hoverflies or whatever, are all part of the ecosystem, and when the ecosystem is collapsing, they're all affected. So we need to start.
There is a bit of talk about it now with
There
the
is.
pollinators thing and
Yeah.
biodiversity for pollinators.
Yeah, and what I couldn't believe, and I only heard this a couple of weeks ago, and it was brought up at the department, and they don't really know about it. They kind of denied it. If you have bees, are you getting, do you know the payments for ground?
Subsidy.
Subsidies or whatever? And you have 8 or 10 beehives in the corner there. They will take that out of your farm payments because that's non-productive, they'll tell you.
Isn't that true?
No. So that's, all of that has to be retaught. And we need to become proactive and talk, I suppose, biodiversity. It's the future, you know.
Well,
And
the reason, from the top of it, the reason for not putting it into the GLOS scheme was because the cost of getting a hive of bees and that, or 2 hives of bees,
yeah,
would take up all the GLOS money. There'd be none for anything else. That was their way of thinking.
right.
It was a silly way of thinking. It's not the first time I ran into a problem with them. I ran into it, I had to give out to them when they started drips and they changed their mind. They wanted all the hedges cut. Whoops.
Yeah.
Whole lot of them.
But I think the latest now is they want an extension and cutting into, I think it's April and it's
We're
around.
going back in August.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that bill wasn't passed.
no,
I know.
Still.
but it's there, it's a threat. But
Yeah,
I
the
suppose,
the
look,
problem is that they're cutting them too severely.
they are. But I suppose we have to become proactive and educate.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people are very amenable to listening, but maybe we're not talking enough.
Okay, enough, yeah.
You know, the people we need to probably get to is the people in Teagasc, you know, and maybe beekeeping needs to come back on a better footing with the likes of Teagasc. When Teagasc were more involved in it, it had a better standing.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know.
Should really be on the school curriculum. Beekeeping.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of the green schools now, biodiversity is one of the keys, and most schools have embraced it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we're
it's
encouraging
agricultural
them to-
colleges
Yeah.
more than
Schools,
that.
primary schools giving
Oh, but
talks.
some of the primary schools and that, they're doing it now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, organic farms depend on clover, and the whole trick is to get near an organic farm. Teagasc is the one crowd